The iPhone 12 will be huge in every sense of the word, and on today's Apple Core, I'm breaking down why. This may be the year the iPhone gets its groove back. Even the most diehard fan has to admit that the last 2 years have been a little bit lackluster for the iPhone. Now sure, we've gotten some incremental upgrades, some cool new camera features, better battery life, better processor, but we haven't really seen any major updates or design changes since that 10th anniversary iPhone in 2017. That is, until now. 2020 is going to be big for the iPhone, and there's plenty of evidence to back up my optimism. For starters, the phone is literally getting bigger. At least the Max model, of course. It's rumored to be growing from 6.5 to 6.7 inches, while the smallest one is going to shrink from 5.8 inches to 5.4. So big phone lovers get what they want, and small phone fans like myself get what we want. And of course, they will still offer that middle-of-the-road option at 6.1 inches, except this time around, they will all have those beautiful OLED screens instead of LCD. The design is also rumored to be getting a bit of a facelift with what could be a retro look, like what we saw on the iPad with those flat edges. And they're all supposed to be 5G ready, though at this point it's unclear as to what type. Now, what this all means for the iPhone 12 is that it could be the one everyone's been holding out for. At least that's what Wedbush analyst Dan Ives seems to think. According to his report published in Barron's, he said Apple is heading for a super cycle that, combined with all these coveted features we just talked about, would create the perfect storm of demand. One of the more controversial rumors about the iPhone 12 has to do with the Lightning port. Some want it to switch over to USB-C like the iPad, others want to keep it, but Apple might be getting rid of it altogether. It may be Lightning port or nothing. According to a 95Mac report, the iOS 13.4 beta references an over-the-air recovery mode on the iPhone, meaning you wouldn't have to plug it into iTunes on a Mac or PC, as long as you have an internet connection. This doesn't necessarily mean anything for this year's iPhone, but I think it means Apple is slowly heading towards this direction. We'll just have to wait and see when Apple decides to pull the plug and remove yet another port, calling it courage.
Courage. The courage to move on, do something new that betters all of us. And our team has tremendous courage.
What do you guys think? Do you think the next iPhone should have a Lightning port, a USB-C, or no port at all? Let me know in the comment section. Last week, I asked what you guys wanted to see in iOS 14, and things got pretty interesting. Michael B. apparently has a crystal ball because he mentioned that over-the-air recovery before I even mentioned it in this episode. He says that's gonna be awesome. And a lot of you were very excited about that multitasking feature that we talked about last week from the leak. Miracle Warriors said, I would love to see real-time split screen multitasking option with also YouTube finally getting a PIP option for the new iOS. Picture-in-picture YouTube, yes, please, we've been dying for that one. And a lot of you guys also mentioned this one. We need a feature that when someone calls, it uses the notification bar as an incoming call interface and not a whole screen takeover situation, says Chris Fame. And CR Master on Twitter says he wants the ability to change default apps, Waze or Google Maps instead of Apple Maps, or Spotify instead of Apple Music, at least in Apple CarPlay. And it's looking pretty good for you, my man, because Apple has already started doing this, and it should come to iOS 14. And lastly, Denali Kid 72 says, we need delayed messages. Android had this years ago, setting a message, then going to sleep, and it's sending at the specified time should not be missing in 2020. The delayed message is sneaky. Now, how about an undo option like Gmail in the seconds after you send a text? That way you have time to take it back. That's all I have for you this week, but you know the drill. We're back here every Thursday for more Apple Core, and in the meantime, you can catch up on all the latest Apple news on CNET.com.